So let's say the sky is the limit, you have ample amount of money kan. So Abang Nugget, macam mana, or what is your rumah impian?
Aku nak rumah macam Batcave. Aku nak duduk bawah air terjun.
Batman lah ni.
I'm Batman.
Nanti jirannya borat lah.
Natasha, what about you?
I really like specific tau I punya. I really like the semi-Ds and bungalows in Seri Pilmore, Ara Damansara. It's just really beautiful lah.
Insta-friendly lah.
Very, very insta-friendly.
Jason Lee?
Kalau aku rumah impian, tak berkira sangat lah. Asalkan rumah tu sebelah rumah parents aku kot.
Sebelah rumah parents lah, ada apa sang?
Sekarang rumah orang lain.
Bodoh apa?
Gen Y Cult Dialogue.
What's good people, welcome to Gen Y Cup Podcast. Anda sedang mendengar hashtag Gen Y Cup Dialogue, siri podcast di mana kita membincangkan isu-isu semasa yang relevan. Bersama saya Jackson Lee Tibeng dan rakan sembang sampai sahur saya, Abang Nugget.
Ya, saya Abang Nugget.
Buat pendengar di luar sana ya, Gen Y Cup Dialogue adalah segmen baru dalam podcast kami dan ini adalah episod pertama. So in this first episode, we are going to talk about adulting real estate, helping first-time buyer. And to help us with this topic, we have our very special guest, an expert in real estate, Miss Natasha Gideon, also known as MarieJualKondo. She's a real estate negotiator with 6 years of experience in the industry and has helped more than 1,000 buyers find their own homes. Her Instagram page, MarieJualKondo, is aimed to help first-time home buyers navigate their way in property purchasing. So, Tasha, apa khabar? Sihat?
Khabar baik, sihat.
That's good to hear, Tasha. What's your latest project sekarang? What's your current focus?
So my current focus is on projects in Klang Valley mostly, specifically in Damansara Perdana and Mont Kiara. But as mentioned lah, the page aims to help first-time home buyers. So I do have free consultations for those who are looking to navigate their way in property purchasing, because I know it's very difficult and very daunting. But yeah, Damansara Perdana and Mont Kiara, new projects.
Okay, so kita cakap pasal adulting real estate, helping first-time buyer. Natasha Gideon, kita set up a story lah. Kita buat macam satu situation.
Okay.
Recently, a friend of mine ni, dia, let's say nama dia Dollah
Alright.
dia beli satu property dan kita tengok decision dia ni macam boleh katalah a bad decision lah, sebab dia face a lot of issues with the property. Lepas tu from what we can see is that dia tak buat proper research tau and preparation sebelum beli rumah ni. Banyak isu timbul masa dia nak beli, masa selepas beli, dan yalah tu dia punya keluhan lah kan.
Faham?
So boleh kata dia ni macam fear of missing out lah, senang kata kan.
Right.
Dia macam
Which is quite common.
Kita tengok orang kita macam orang nak beli rumah, dia pun nak beli rumah.
Betul.
Dia macam cerita Borat tu tau. He is my neighbor, Nur Sultan Tuliakbai. He's pain in my asshole. Kan? I get a window from a glass, he must get a window from a glass. I get a step, he must get a step. I get a clock radio, he cannot afford. Great success.
Similar situation in Malaysia, just less crass.
So kita tukar, so kita Malaysianize situation ni kepada Dollah lah, instead of Nur Sultan Tuliakbai ni kan.
Yes.
So Tasha, to illustrate better to our audience, and for all the Dollahs out there,
Right.
where to start when you want to purchase a property?
Okay. But before that, I just want to say it is a common issue. Sebab there is a lot of pressure. Number one, from parents. Number two, social media. You tengok, oh, okay, I'm 27 now. I'm getting married, so I have to buy a property.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily a great idea. And the worst thing you can do is have 2 big purchases in 1 year, or even worse, 3 big purchases in 1 year. First
Ada,
purchase, so first big purchase would be, okay, aku nak kahwin.
Oh,
So
okay.
kahwin tak murah.
Mhm.
Kahwin MCO sekalipun, mak ayah akan suruh you buat majlis kemudian. Tak ada live Facebook ni, tak ada, you know. So that's your first big purchase, and then bila you dah kahwin, you're thinking, I need to have a house now, so I need to buy a property. So within that short amount of time, not only are you running around handling your wedding, you are also looking for a house. And then some also macam, kahwin nanti ada baby, beli kereta lah. So all in all, you know, your that 1 year, kalau kahwin boleh cerai, beli kereta boleh jual, beli rumah boleh jual juga. But this is such a bad economy. Susah nak jual.
Betul loh.
So komitmen you dengan rumah sebenarnya is actually longer than some marriages.
Yes.
35 years. If you are 35 years old and below,
Pedas.
ni 35 tahun tau. This is the main reason why I started MarieJualKondo lah. Sebab when I started, I was in a similar situation with Dola. I thought I knew what I was doing, but real estate is just a huge industry that is not given enough awareness, not given enough spotlight to especially the younger generation lah. And then bila you nak cari apa yang you tak tahu pun you tak tahu. How do you Google something you don't know, right?
Betul.
So
That's right.
I'm gonna start with some advice and tips on how you can navigate your search. Belum beli lagi, just navigate your search.
Betul.
So where do you start? Alright, so number 1, what is your purpose? Alright, what is your purpose of buying this property? Are you buying to invest, or are you buying for your own stay? Okay, those are two separate things. Once you identify, okay, this one I want to buy for own stay, then there are things that you need to look out for, which is number 1, what location you are comfortable with. Let's say you grew up in, I'm going to take a Selangor example. Let's say you grew up in Subang. Look around the areas that is within that vicinity only. That's my advice. You dah biasa dengan area tu. Tapi orang Subang ni tak payah nak tegur lah, dia memang takkan keluar. Subang is the best in the world. So bila you dah comfortable with a place, you've gone to school in the area and all that, there's more comfort, there's more sense of security. So don't go and look at, okay, I have a budget of 700,000, aku nak cari sampai ke KL, Wangsa Maju and all that. Don't waste your time lah. That is just my advice. If you're not familiar with an area, kalau you nak rent, okay lagi. Rental, you can tamatkan kontrak dalam setahun 2. Tapi you nak beli kan, macam I cakap tadi, it's a long commitment.
Yes.
Get something that is you're familiar with. Besides that, the reason why location is such a important, or plays such an important role, is also because kalau you beli for own stay, especially, you are buying for at least your first home lah. You are buying for at least 10 years minimum. In the 10 years, katakan you ada anak, you need to know, okay, what is the school catchment in the area? Where can I send my children to school? Are these good schools? Right? If you just go to some random area just because it's cheap, you may not get the experience that your children will get will not be the same as yours. And of course, you want that for your children, right? So let's say, for example, you dah membesar dekat Subang, and then you go to, let's say, okay, rumah landed murah dekat Puncak Alam. So that might not be such a developed township yet, and the schools may not be as advanced as schools in Subang, for example, right? Different areas. One is urban, one is suburban, one is rural. So these are all things that are important to look at, that I don't think people really think about when they're deciding, right? Besides that, katakan you are buying for investment. Okay, investment doesn't necessarily have to be somewhere that you're familiar with, but I do suggest it being closer to where you live, so that you can handle your tenant, or if you have any issues, etc. But also look at anchor. Okay, what is the anchor that you are looking for? Let's say you now invest to rent out, you now invest only to young professionals. So maybe you can look at places close to MRT and LRT, or you can look at places closer to offices. let's say there are a lot of MSc status officers, multimedia super corridor dekat Bangsa South. Maybe you can invest there and you target young professionals sahaja. Okay, for an example, let's say, like for me dulu, I wanted to invest in Sarjana Putra because I knew Masa University was moving to Sarjana Putra, the whole campus. So my target memang, okay, I'm just going to buy this affordable property and rent it out to students. I don't mind. But the pros and cons to that is, okay, students may not jaga your house like young professionals lah.
Betul.
Right? So there's a lot of things that goes into consideration. So that's why it's important to decide whether you want to buy for own stay or investment. The other points that you have to look at is, of course, whether you want to stay in a landed or a high rise first. And that's very important because landed sekarang sangat mahal.
Betul.
Kalau you nak
Yes.
duduk landed, you kena ada duit. Ataupun you duduk jauh. So it's either you stay in a high rise closer to work or you stay in a landed property an hour away from work and you drive every day. So one, you are foregoing living in a landed property, and the other is you are foregoing your time with your family. And that's a common mistake as well lah. Yang I nampak a lot of I would say millennials lah have chosen. So pilih rumah jauh-jauh up to like Seremban, Semenyih, tapi you spend your time on the road is 2 hours.
Betul.
In the end, what you're spending for your toll, your wear and tear, your petrol, and kalau you ada anak, you kena hantar anak ke pengasuh
Yes.
lagi lama.
Betul.
These are all things that add up to quite a lot actually in the end. So that's another thing that I always talk about lah. It's okay to buy your first property tu high rise dulu, tak apa. Nanti kemudian you dah jual, you dah dapat untung, you belilah you punya landed property yang you nak. But time is of is more essential lah when you're younger.
Yes.
The next thing is to look at, if you're buying a new property, look at developer lah. Look at developer track record. So macam you mentioned tadi, Dolah may have had a lot of issues because the developer may have been someone yang do not have the experience in developing properties. Not just developing but also maintaining. So you want to see a developer that takes responsibility sampai your property is handed over to JMB, Joint Management Body. This is for high rise lah. So kalau setakat okay, aku nak beli rumah ni murah, tapi you tak tengok developer tu siapa, then it's going to cost you lah.
Okay. Is there a place or is there somewhere or website where we can go and check about the track record of the developer, macam from an authority body? Ke is something that you just need to research?
Okay, number one, is definitely something that you need to research. You just search the name of the developer and you have to look at the particular developer tu lah. So kalau kata satu developer, tak semestinya dia buat rumah tu under that specific name. Let's say Nugget Properties. Tak semestinya dia guna nama Nugget Properties. Dia maybe akan guna Nugget Maju. You know, for their subsidiary, for tax reasons and so you have to check specifically, and you cannot check you can do the opposite lah. There is a list of developers that are blacklisted, so you can check that on the internet. Okay, sama ke tak? Can I trust this developer or not? And things like that lah. But the best source of all this is also obviously netizen. So you pergi dekat Lawyat and you do a search on the particular developer that you're looking at.
Yes.
You have to take it with a pinch of salt sebab you cannot puaskan hati everyone, but if you see macam banyak sangat komen pasal major issues, then stay away lah.
Understand. And also Nugget Maju sounds like nasi kandar.
Nasi kandar. Ye.
Restoran Nugget Maju.
Ada western, ada nasi kandar.
Nasi ganja pun ada. Tapi kat Ipoh je lah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so from all this, so own stay or investment, second location, third accessibility, fourth comfort, fifth landed or high rise, and then sixth is developer, right? The last one, once you've decided what you're looking for, let's say, okay, Dolah decided, okay lah, I nak cari within Subanjaya, what can I afford? So the last step, moving on to like the bigger adventure, is to check what you are eligible to buy. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So 7 steps provided just now. Itu untuk where do you want to start to when you want to purchase property. So last step is to find to identify your eligibility lah kan. So kalau kita tengok according to 2019 salaries and wages survey reports released by Department of Statistics Malaysia kan, gaji average Malaysian ni around 3,224. So let's say dalam situation dolar tadi kan, let's say dolar ni gaji dia pun around 3,200 to 3,500, and commitments dia pun macam biasa, bayar kereta MyV, ada loan, ada, and tolak itu tolak ini, let's say surplus dia around 1,500 lah. How do Dolah identify dia punya eligibility tu?
Okay, so if you want to do it yourself, you just have to take your net income. So net income is after dah tolak EPF, so right? So let's say net income dollar is 3,500 lah, just to make it easier. 3,500. What you can do is you darab dengan 70%, because 70% is actually the DSR, debt service ratio, that banks use to identify how much you can borrow. All right. So debt service ratio basically is what you can borrow from the banks, not necessarily just for what you're applying for, but overall apa yang you dah pinjam, apa yang you boleh pinjam, etc. So if I take 3,500 and I darab dengan 70%, what I get back is Dolah can borrow 2,450. Okay, can borrow or have borrowed is the same lah basically. Okay, so 2,450. Katakan dia ada MyV is about 550 plus maybe PTPTN.
Okay. Betul? Yes.
PTPTN masuk maybe dalam 100.5, right? So 2,450 minus 550 minus 150. So there is an excess of 1,750 that he can borrow from the bank. So if Dolah wants to use 1,750 to borrow to purchase a property, what you can do now is also go on the internet and search home loan calculator, and you can just key in you punya whatever you've mentioned tadi. So income, hutang, and all that, and then they akan keluar the same number 1,750, and they will show you exactly how much you can borrow from the bank, and the property price that you are eligible for, basically. Alright, so among these calculators is yang I selalu pakai is the CITOS loan eligibility calculator. That one is quite accurate. If you want to go a step further, you can also pay I think it's 25 ringgit for your CITOS report. So they will show you not only you can check how much you can borrow, you can also check what's your credit score like. Ada yang poor, ada yang orange color is okay sikit, yellow is okay, hijau paling bagus lah. So if your credit score is like 800 means cantik lah, you boleh pinjam, interest rate you pun akan rendah, and things like that lah. So that's just a simple way.
All of this can be done online, eh?
Betul. Just make sure that you are putting in the correct interest rate and the correct tenure. Okay, so interest rate sekarang, what I usually do for my clients is I put in just a 3% average, because the lowest you can get maybe is about 2.85, 2.89 macam tu. The highest that my clients have gotten is 3.1 to 3.1, mostly client yang cantik sikit lah. Kalau tak cantik, maybe 3.4 lah. Depends on your credit score. So you put that in, and then kalau umur you below 35, you can borrow up to 35 years. But if you're above 35 years old, just take 70 years old minus your age, and that's the amount of time that's the amount of tenure that you can borrow. So obviously, the older you are, the higher your commitments, because there's lesser tenure, which is why it's important to make your purchases before you are 35.
Before 35, eh?
Before.
Okay.
If you're planning to lah.
Okay, so Dolah sekarang ni dia dah dapat tahu mana dia nak, macam mana research yang dia kena buat, all the 7 steps. Lepas tu dia dah calculate all dia punya eligibility and everything. So sekarang ni Dolah ni dia dah ada target nak beli rumah yang mana kan. What documents are needed to apply for a loan
Okay.
in Dolah's case?
Alright, so let's say Dolah is a fixed income earner. Maknanya you ada gaji tetap setiap bulan. What you need is your latest 3 months punya payslip. Make sure you've been working there for at least more than 6 months would be better lah. And if there's a variable as well, kalau you kerja contract atau you kerja tetap, better kalau you kerja tetap lah. Of course, but this is also depending on the bank and the banker that you're speaking with lah. So, but in general, get your 3 months payslip yang latest. Bonus payslip 2 tahun sebab kita akan kira bonus you 2 tahun and then kita akan bahagi dengan 24 bulan. So that goes into the total amount that you can borrow tadi. Right? So that becomes an additional income. And then you bagi your latest EA form for 2 years. And then latest 3 months bank statement untuk tallykan, okay, income you betul masuk the exact amount dekat dalam your bank. And then bila you nak beli property tu, you have the booking form, right? So you send that booking form as well, IC copy, and application and consent from the bank saying that I consent to the bank applying this loan for me. Yang tu banker akan bagi you sign, and then they will proceed with the loan application. Right? So that is for fixed income earner.
Fixed income, okay.
Yes, but I want to touch upon those who have businesses or are commission earners. Okay, so for commission earners or those who have startups, let's say, ni yang paling I rasa banyak issue because
Betul.
a lot of people do not know that you need to prepare 2 years in advance.
Okay.
So kalau kau nak beli rumah hari ni, tak boleh lah, kena tunggu lagi 2 tahun lah. Because why? Okay, number one, of course you can bagi, if you ada business registration, you have to send that. Number two, 6 months personal bank 6 months company bank statement, summary statement, income tax for 2 years. Income tax for 2 years to make sure you are filing, yes, sorry. So make sure you've been filing your taxes for 2 years, and make sure your company SSM pun dah wujud selama 2 tahun.
Okay.
And then the same lah, IC copy and booking form. So this is the most important because not a lot of people have company SSM registration. So let's say kerja I influencer, I boleh je beli rumah, duit I banyak, but you do not have a SSM registration. You do not have you do not file taxes for your jobs that you do. Tak ada proper invoices and things like that. So if this you're hearing this and you want to buy property and alamak, Natasha, I influencer, macam mana nak beli? Or I just started doing online business. Yeah, this is your wake up call to make sure your finances are in order. Whether you want to buy property or not, I think just be safe. Just have all these documents ready so that it will be easier in the future lah. Yeah, so those are the two that I want to talk about for fixed income and for those who kerja sendiri. The last one is for government employees. Government employees ni paling senang sebab government employees have a lot of benefits bila dia borrow with LPPSA. So kalau you ambil loan government ni, you boleh dapat 100% loan. You get it's a fixed interest rate, but also dia takkan tengok you punya hutang-hutang semua. So you just need to give your 3 months payslip, 3 months bank statement, saving statement, IC copy, booking form. Very easy. Tu yang paling senang lah. Yeah. But those are the 3 that I wanted to touch on lah.
So explanation yang sangat padat actually Tasha already explained from the start. Kalau you nak beli rumah until what are the documents that you need. So step by step, guys. It's very informative. Right now we actually basically cover everything that we need to know in preparing to buy a house. I have additional questions lah, which is not really related to preparing to buy a house, but more towards the housing project itself. So this is regarding affordable housing macam rumah prima, rumah wip, rumah selangorku. Ramai yang pilih untuk opt for this kind of option because senang, tak ada upfront, tak perlu upfront duit yang banyak. Most of the fees covered by developers, but we do sometimes hear issue with affordable housing ni kan. Macam ada yang complain about the location, ada yang complain about the the kerja yang dia buat macam lambat, construction pun lambat, ada yang rumah yang problem. What is your takes on buying affordable housing?
Okay, so before I answer that question, I need to also explain what affordable housing is. So macam you mentioned tadi tu betul, rumah selangorku, I will shorten it and use RSKU, rumah WIP and Prima. So Prima was a government initiative, rumah WIP is rumah wilayah persekutuan, so only in KL, and rumah selangorku is targeted towards Selangor lah. So affordable housing actually is an initiative by the government untuk suruh developer ni, setiap kali dia nak buat township, they have to set aside a certain percentage of their land or of their space to have affordable housing. So let's say, actually where I live pun belakang rumah I ada rumah selangorku. So I live in Setia Alam. My developer is SP Setia. They are developing, or they have developed this township, right? It's a huge piece of land. I'm not sure exactly how many acres, tapi memang sangat besar. So this part of Setia Alam, dia memang specifically buat untuk rumah selangorku. So dia ada yang 270k, dia ada yang 180k and below 100k if I'm not mistaken. So they have set aside a certain plot of land specifically for RSKU. Meaning that the developer is responsible for the housing that is done. So if you say, okay, rumah selangorku ni quality tak bagus lah, which rumah selangorku are you talking about? Because it is a reflection of the developer of that specific property. So let's say if you're buying rumah WIP, okay, rumah WIP tu siapa developer dia? Kalau ada issue, then it's the problem with the developer and not the whatever it is you think is the reason lah. Because I have interviewed this guy who does home inspections, and he has mentioned that actually he has seen some rumah WIP yang quality dia dia ada scoring dia, quality dia dapat above 90%. So you bayangkan, you beli rumah 300,000, you dapat a good developer, you boleh dapat a good quality property. Right? So that is affordable housing. It's dependent on the developer, which goes back to what I mentioned earlier lah. Walaupun you nak beli apa-apa property pun, you still have to go back to the developer. What is their track record? Jangan tengok dia punya award sahaja or dia punya accolades, because fun fact, some awards can be bought.
Okay.
Wow. Spilling some tea. It depends on the awards, but yeah, so if you see macam, developer ni banyak award ni, you tengok juga what the type of award is. I won't mention, but
I was about to ask.
later kita later I'll spill the tea. But tapi you kena tengok, okay, what is the previous properties that this developer has done. Have they done high rise before? The location I think doesn't matter. Let's say developer tu dah pernah buat high rise dekat Penang katakan, but you are buying this developer punya project in KL, first time buat kat KL. I think the build quality, you tengok lah, okay, the property in Penang tu okay ke tak, and then you can compare dia punya workmanship dekat KL. Usually bila developers yang baru-baru ni, dia dah ada projects dekat tempat lain, dia baru nak up dekat, let's say KL dan Selangor, they will have to prove themselves. So they will go above and beyond and memang buat the best quality. Get that I mean that's the general idea lah. But there's also developers that don't care and want to make money, so just make sure you do your due diligence basically. Okay, besides that, I know you've mentioned there's no fees and no upfront, but actually before this, masa Prima semua baru launch and baru, like, the government just came up with this scheme. buyers had to put down a down payment.
No.
Masa mula-mula dulu.
Masa mula-mula dulu.
Oh.
Cumanya a lot of people thought that this is a cheap housing. It's not good, so not a lot of people bought this property. So that's why they moved it towards, okay, let's do zero down payment lah,
Oh.
or let's put all the let's pay for all the legal fees, etc. Tapi sebenarnya sebelum ni memang kena letak, and there are still properties that have to put 10% down payment. So if you're looking at just that alone, maybe you can also look at other government initiatives like the Home Ownership Campaign, HOC, yang tu properties yang zero down payment and legal fees are all borne for as well. So there are actually a lot of other options as well lah.
Okay. So kalau kita tengok kat internet kan, ada internet ke, dekat newspaper ke, dekat TV ke, majalah 3 and everything lah, kira dalam media lah, ada certain issues that yang this media dah cover, yang mengatakan this rumah low cost housing, this prima, all sorts of things yang kita dah mention before, ada potential untuk jadi ghetto. So yang ini kita balik kepada kita as buyer untuk tengok kepada developer ke macam mana ke? What's your perspective on this?
I think both sides play a part. Once let's say usually developer akan bagi ke JMB, Joint Management Body, untuk handle the maintenance and all that, right? So either developer or JMB have to ensure that the maintenance is done well. You kutip dia punya maintenance fees. Bila you kutip maintenance fees, people are a bit more responsible, you know. Kalau, and then you kena garang sikit lah kalau orang dah hutang sampai 2,000, 3,000, 20,000, you know, there are ways to mitigate lah. Actually, did you know that if you don't pay your maintenance fees, the developer or the JMB has a right to, they can kick you out, you know. So of course, so far belum ada case yang macam tu. Malaysians are very sangat pemaaf dan pemurah. But you have to start, you have to terus like masuk jadi JMB, memang kena terus garang lah. Kutip all the this one. Besides that, as a buyer, let's say you're buying for investment, bagi ada responsibility sikit lah. Jangan bagi je siapa-siapa sewa your house. You know, you have to do your due diligence, do your background checks. Who are you renting out to? How many people are you renting out to? That's also a big issue that I think is a rampant problem lah. Ambil rumah 3 bilik, jadikan sampai 8 partition and all that.
Yes.
So the more people that are there, of course, the cheaper they pay. The lesser people pay, the lesser they care about the property.
Betul.
And eventually, even if it doesn't become a ghetto, you know, just the attitude of people who, you know, don't care about your property will prevail lah, basically. I'm not saying you cannot sewakan to like workers, or you cannot sewakan to expats and foreigners. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just make sure that you are not going over the given number lah. Because even in an apartment, you're not supposed to, berapa dia punya limit dia. Kalau you tengok you punya Strata Title Act, you cannot rent out to more than a certain number of people. It's a fire hazard. Kalau rumah you terbakar, 10 orang dalam tu berebut nak keluar. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that come into play here. But definitely buyers, owners and tenants are part of the issue lah.
So everyone should play their role lah, kan?
Correct, because there are you know, low cost flats that are very nice and comfortable. Kalau you tengok hari tu, I tengok my friend went to Puchong, cantik je dia punya building dia, the people. Tak semestinya owners yang kat situ tenants juga, but you know, if you create the environment, everyone there will also follow suit lah, basically. So it's an attitude problem also.
Yalah tu, mindset as well, kan? Okay, so kita move on to another question. Yang ini satu isu yang kita kata very subjective, very boleh kata philosophical jugalah. Dia in theory lah, betul ke tak, Allah Alam. Tapi kita nak tanya sendiri from the real estate negotiator macam Tasha ni. Okay, there's a stigma or there's an issue yang kita biasa dengar dalam social media, from netizens and everything yang mengatakan isu beli property as an investment ni dia ada give impact to the first time buyer and to the market itself. So kita boleh phrasekan kata the good part, the bad part and the ugly part. So what's your take on this, Natasha Gideon? What's your perspective on this?
Okay, so I think yang selalu netizen talk about or voice out is when people take advantage of other people's opportunities. Okay, you're grabbing other people's opportunities. What do I mean? Macam kita borak tadi, ada low cost housing, ada medium cost housing. These are properties that are meant to be bought by those who cukup-cukup makan can afford. Okay, what I mean by that is dia ada certain limit dia lah. So kalau gaji you 5,000 ke bawah, single earner, baru you boleh beli low cost or medium cost or rumah sangguku. And then if you are a couple, I think it goes up to 10,000 kot household income, right? So to buy something that's repayment dia 1,500 a month, itu okay lah, it's affordable for that family. The problem happens when someone who has a single or individual income of let's say 10,000, 15,000 masuk dan cuba untuk membeli property ni, and then kalau kata okay, I buy this property for 200,000, I pay the bank about 700 ringgit, I make a partition, I rent it out to, okay, if you have 3 rooms, let's say 2, 4, 6, let's say you can fit in like 7 people, 7 orang, you charge sekepala 300, dah 2,100. 2,100, you are making a 300% untung on your property. Okay, number one, it leads to what I mentioned tadi. Okay, you kata okay nanti jadi ghetto. Yeah, because there's so many people in one property. So many perangai to handle. Number two, apa ni? It's a exploitation of opportunity given lah. Ini bukan untuk you buat duit. Ini untuk a basic necessity untuk orang yang betul-betul memerlukan. So this is the type of investor that we want to shy away from, that we want to sort of eradicate lah. Okay, because there are other investors who dump their money in properties. Number one, for rental, yes, so you get the ROI, return of investment yearly. Number two, also to gain value from the property lah. So long term gain kind of situation. I buy my property, let's say in Bangi now, piece of land, let's say, and in 15 years, I hope to gain at least 30%, minimum 30%, or 100% actually, in 15 years. So there are different types of investors. So the price of the property also plays a big role in investments. Let's say property tu harga dekat KLCC, harga dekat 2 juta. Your ROI you can get up to like 6-7%. Not many people can use that opportunity, right?
Betul.
If you have the money, baru you boleh beli. So you're not really taking that opportunity away from people.
Yes.
Right? It's just kalau you mampu, you boleh lah. Yeah, so the rich get richer kind of situation.
Yes.
So cuma yang kita nak elakkan is you mampu nak beli rumah yang 500,000, 600,000, you pilih juga yang 180,000. Lepas tu you terpaling businessman lah tu dekat Twitter. This is how I make positive cash flow in the pandemic. Wah.
So jadi influencer kan?
Yes. Tapi itulah, it's a matter of ethics and all those things lah. So that's my take on investment. I don't think it's a problem to choose real estate as a type of investment. I think there are a lot of different platforms. Some people put unit trust, gold and things like that.
Yes.
Others choose investment, real estate, sorry. And real estate ada different price points, different types, and it all depends on your research, etc. So yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And it covers basically everything that I wanna ask from you.
All right, one more question. Given the current situation right now, the pandemic and then moratorium PKP and whatnot, so ramai yang yang decide to jual dia orang punya asset or property because they cannot keep up, basically affecting their income kan. So those people they are selling, boleh kata under market value lah kalau nak compare dengan yang sepatutnya. So dalam masa yang sama, the government also luluskan rumah duit air sinar yang memudahkan orang untuk beli rumah lah, especially for the first time buyer. Exactly, what's your opinion on the property or the housing market right now? Is it rumah tengah murah ke? Is it the right time to buy a house?
Okay, so to answer those two questions briefly, yes and yes. Rumah tengah, not say murah, but prices are reducing. Okay, given that the situation that a lot of us are going through, I can imagine that a lot of owners want to let go of their properties to survive.
Yes.
Right? So it is indeed a buyer's market, meaning that the buyer has the upper hand. So bila, let's say contoh lah, in one taman, okay, Taman Dahlia, ada 3 rumah for sale, and you desperate ni, you need the money. Okay lah, cakap dengan agent, you sell lah, I just want at least minimum this amount, right? Tapi buyer tu nak tekan juga. Of course, a person in a desperate situation, dia akan, okay lah, turunkan je lah, asalkan I don't need to repay for my mortgage anymore. Or, asalkan I dapat this amount of money to survive pun dah jadi, you know, that kind of thing. So a lot of people actually are in that situation whereby they are reducing because so many people are also selling, and buyers also know that it's a buyer's market, so they also, you know, try to tekan lah, and they try to ask for good prices. That's exactly what's happening when people come to me and ask me, Natasha, I want to buy a property. I just want a good buy. I just want a good deal. I don't want anything that's slightly below market. I want betul-betul below market value. So buyers know, owners also have to know lah. If you're desperate, then, you know, usually agent akan discuss lah. Negotiator and agent akan discuss dengan owner, are you okay with this prices, so and so. If you have the opportunity to hold on to your property, you have the holding power, kita panggil, you are not in a desperate situation, then I suggest you tunggu dululah, you janganlah jual dulu, because you will make a loss. Not make a loss lah, but you won't earn as much as if you would sell in a few years time lah, let's say, right? But to answer the other question, is it a good time to buy? Yes, because as of 2021, in 2020 alone, Bank Negara has reduced the overnight policy rate up to 4 times, which now takes us to an interest rate that is the lowest in Malaysian history, as low as 2.89, if I'm not mistaken. 2.89 yang paling rendah klien I pernah dapat. I'm not sure if it has got any lower, 2.85 maybe. This is the lowest ever. And so with a low interest rate, number one, of course, your repayment is lower, cheaper. Number two, the cheaper your interest, your repayment means the more you are eligible to borrow, right? So let's say in 2015, you nak beli rumah, interest rate 4.5%, rumah harga 300,000, maybe you are paying the bank dalam 1,300, 1,400 macam tu. But in 2021, your harga 300,000, property interest is let's say 2.89%, you are only paying back maybe about 900 to 1,000. So that's a big difference, right? So the lesser you can, the lesser you pay for your mortgage, of course, the better. But also that means that you can also increase your debt service ratio that I mentioned earlier. So if you, in 2015 you can afford something that's 300,000 dengan gaji yang 3,500, in 2021 you can afford something that's almost 450, 500,000.
Kan?
So I think this is one tactic that a lot of young buyers are using. Dia lock dengan gaji sekarang, dengan interest rate sekarang, for a project maybe that will be ready in 2-3 years time. In 2-3 years time, even if interest rate naik, maybe gaji dia pun dah naik, so you dah manage to get a property for that price. Yeah, so yep, it is a great time to buy indeed, and a lot of people know this as well, and a lot of people are taking advantage of this situation. Penuh, sales gallery penuh, sub sales also doing very well.
Okay.
So rumah actually, this right now is the right time to buy a house if you can afford it lah.
Correct.
And if you can afford Tasha.
Buyers don't pay me.
Oh, ya ke?
Owners and developer pay me.
Oh, okay.
So as a buyer, you contact je agent. You tak rugi apa-apa pun. In Malaysia lah, the laws are a bit lopsided. That's a loss on my side, but it's okay.
Okay. Okay.
Can I just add something?
Can, sure.
I think just to add on the pressure that people give on millennials, especially, I think a lot of people are like, oh, you have to buy, because I think because I'm a real estate negotiator, people expect me to also be like team beli property. I just want to echo what Lee mentioned just now. If you are ready to buy, if you want to buy, then yes, this is a great time to buy. But if you are not ready, if you masih teragak-agak, it's never a good time to buy. So jangan ikut-ikut orang sangat sampai menyesal, because it's very difficult to turn back. Even if you want to turn back, you nak jual balik property you, it will take a few years. In that meantime, banyak that you will bleed instead of making money.
Betul. And there's a lot of, it's not easy to maintain a house kan, the upkeep and everything.
Betul.
It's very costly.
Betul. Mahal.
Okay. There we have it, guys. Kita dah dengar from Natasha Gideon herself kan, pasal senang kata step by step guide lah ni. Kalau tak tahu from zero, kita boleh dapat banyak lah, big portion of the knowledge untuk beli rumah, untuk investment and everything. So Natasha Gideon,
Ya, saya.
anything you want to say to our audience? Maybe some advice, or maybe your audience, to let our audience know how to get in touch with you and everything.
Okay. I think today's podcast is just maybe 50% of the knowledge that you need to know to buy property. I share more info on my page, mostly on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is MarieJualKondo. So like Marie Kondo, but I jual condo. I jual condo that sparks joy. I hope lah.
Okay.
So Instagram, MarieJualKondo, MarieJualKondo. Kod lah kalau ada overseas or apa foreign listeners ke, jual means sell. So yalah, I'm Mary sell condo.
Mary sell condo.
Yeah, so I do a lot of awareness videos, a lot of step-by-step guides on my page. So it's perfect for those who are just starting their journey or want to, start investing, or just want to learn about property. You can reach out to me on MarieJualKondo. And then everything else is Natasha Gideon, so NATASHAGIDEON. You can find me on Twitter, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere lah. I'm everywhere. I'm really everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we are about to end the session. So it was a very informative session, great explanation from our special guest. Thank you so much, Natasha. We really feel honored to have you.
Thank you, Tasha.
Most
With our
welcome.
podcast. Yeah, and for our listeners out there, if you are still with me, if you are still with us, still listening to us, we thank you very much. We appreciate your support. If you like what we do, you can like our page, our Instagram page, MarieJualKondo, or you can follow us on Instagram and share our video. It's on YouTube, and also will be on Spotify as well. You can share our playlist with your friends. So thank you so much, guys. Abang Nugget, do you have anything you want to add in? Since I think one more thing from me. Selamat menyambut bulan Ramadan dan selamat berpuasa kepada semua yang beragama Islam di luar sana. Abang Nugget, anything you want to add?
Okay, so since this is a very new, kata kita buat satu segmen yang baru. So any feedback from all the listeners, kita memang sangat-sangat appreciate. You can reach us on all the platforms yang Jackson Lee dah cakap tadi. So any feedback, guys, kami akan terima, bad or good, kita akan terima sebaiknya, InsyaAllah.
Okay, I think that's all from us. Thank you again to Tasha and Abang Nugget.
Most welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys out there, take care. Until next time. Bye-bye.